News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Erica Herskowitz. President Trump has canceled plans to sign a bipartisan bill aimed at lowering housing costs and increasing supply until Congress approves voting restrictions. Trump said he wouldn't sign the bill until Congress passes the Save America Act, which would impose nationwide requirements for Americans to show photo identification and present proof of U.S. citizenship in order to vote. The president also said this morning that Iran has informed the U.S. it's not charging tolls through the Strait of Hormuz. He's also insisting that unfrozen Iranian funds will be used to buy American food and medicine, a claim Iran denies. We get more from Bloomberg's Abir Abu Omar in Dubai.
The crux of this is essentially both sides wanting to come out with their own perspectives on this MOU or this agreement that is supposed to be temporary, leading us into the next 60 days. At the heart of this is the Strait of Hormuz, for example. Yes, it is open. A trickle of movement is going through the waterway, more so than what we had seen over the past 2-3 weeks, and this is continuing to accelerate.
Bloomberg's Abir Abu Omar reporting from Dubai. President Trump is scheduled to meet with Senate Republicans for lunch today, a day after the Senate issued a rare rebuke to the president in a war powers resolution. Meanwhile, the head of the UN's nuclear agency says Iranian nuclear enrichment sites would be visited by inspectors, a key component in the deal between the U.S. and Iran. But an Iranian diplomat promptly rejected this, saying that such a visit can only come after a final deal. Meanwhile, in an interview on CNBC, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicated that U.S. talks with Iran include Iran joining the dollar system and invoicing its oil sales in dollars. The U.S. Treasury will oversee the processing of Iran's frozen funds, with a large percent of it going to buy U.S. foodstuffs and medicines. Also on CNBC, Bessent expressed confidence that the U.S. economy can get back on the path to 3% growth as the Iran war nears conclusion.
I don't know if we're going to make progress this year, but I think by the end of the president's term, we can be at something that looks like it could have a 3 in front of it. And what's important about that, that's when you start paying down overall debt as a percent of the economy.
Bessent on CNBC reiterated that his 3-3-3 plan is still in reach. 3% growth, a 3% deficit to GDP rate, and a 3 million barrel per day increase in domestic oil production. Right now, Brent crude is trading below $74 a barrel for the first time since the Iran war began, as more tankers openly crossed the Strait of Hormuz. Will Kennedy is Europe, Middle East, and Africa news director for Bloomberg News.
The market is getting used to the flow of oil back through the Strait of Hormuz quite quickly, and it's clear that the market, or parts of the market, are now well supplied and having to absorb lots of Iranian oil, more Emirati oil, Saudi oil, and it's bearing down on the price.
Bloomberg's Will Kennedy. Checking prices right now, Brent crude is trading at $73 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate, $70 a barrel. Elsewhere on Wall Street, stocks are higher. The Dow is up nearly 1%. The Nasdaq up close to 0.75%. The S&P up 0.33%. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 4.40%. The 2-year Treasury yield is at 4.14%. The meme stock crowd is rallying behind Wendy's. Shares are up more than 30% today, with no news announcement behind the jump. A post on Reddit's Wall Street Bets, which was later removed, implored its members to save Wendy's before it's too late. Later today, investors' focus will turn to earnings when Micron Technology reports after the closing bell. The memory chipmaker's stock is up nearly 270% this year. Bloomberg Intelligence Global Head of Tech Research Mandeep Singh is focused on the price of the company's chips themselves.
I think everyone went in with the assumption that, input costs will come down, especially for, commoditized chips and things that have been a commodity for the past 2 decades.
Bloomberg's Mandeep Singh. The latest snapshot on the housing market shows new home sales fell again last month to the lowest level since the start of the year, even with heavy discounts. Single-family home purchases dropped more than 7% to an annual rate of 580,000. Economists surveyed by Bloomberg were looking for 640,000. And gold is trading back around $4,000 an ounce for the first time since November. A stronger dollar and bets on higher interest rates have brought the 3-year rally in precious metals to a halt. South Korea's biggest chipmaker, SK Hynix, is planning to raise $29.4 billion in a landmark U.S. listing as companies along the artificial intelligence supply chain rush to increase capacity to meet memory chip demand. The company's sole traded stock climbed nearly 850% over the past 12 months, lifting the company's market value above $1 trillion. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Erica Herskowitz, and this is Bloomberg.